Good morning, good brother.
Hey, yo, how goes it, my man?
It is going well. We got some good news and some maybe not so good news, heading into this game. But I'm excited because we got Cowboys football, brother. How you doing?
Hey, man, it's like you said, it's another week of Cowboys football. They're on a two-game win streak. Their first of the young season, starting off October, the same way they ended September, which is with the W. Still some things to clean up, obviously, man, but, an ugly win is still a win. All you can hope is that they learn from it going into what will be their biggest test to date against the Detroit Lions on Sunday.
That's how I feel, man. I feel like both sides of the ball, this will be the most complete team they'll probably have seen. And that's with all due respect to the Ravens, but their defense wasn't that great.
Yeah, no, and then when you talk about the offense, when you compare the offenses, obviously you have Derrick Henry to contend with, and you have the legs of Lamar Jackson to contend with when you're talking about the Ravens. But when you're talking about offensive weaponry, the Baltimore Ravens do not in any capacity compare to what the Detroit Lions can throw up against you. When you talk about Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta, and then the backfield, which is, in my opinion, the best RB duo in the NFL, and Jahmyr Gibbs and
100%.
David Montgomery, and then Jared Goff. 18 for 18. That tells you all you need to know about what he can do. Their offensive line, and they also should be getting Frank Ragnow back. So, yeah, it doesn't compare to me. Yeah, it doesn't compare. So, Detroit Lions are really going to bring some smoke for the Cowboys. They better be ready.
So the football guys potentially will be giving the Lions Frank Ragnow. And they say, okay, well, if we're going to give them somebody, we're going to give the Cowboys somebody as well. So there could be a couple guys returning for Dallas, but giveth and taketh away. Pat, can you give us an update on the Cowboys injury report?
Yeah, it's been a lot more taketh away. So let's start with let's start with some more bad news first. Is that or potential bad news, I should say. You go from dealing with a lot of issues with depth at the defensive end position because you lose Marshawn Nealon in the first defensive drive against the Steelers. And shouts out to guys like Chauncey Ghost and Tyrus Wheat, Carl Lawson. They stepped up. But now coming back to the linebacker core, neither Nick Vigil nor Eric Kendricks have practiced this week. So there have been two practices this week, and both have missed. Eric Kendricks is dealing with not one, but two issues, a calf and a shoulder. He's not practiced Wednesday or Thursday. And Nick Vigil, who's dealing with a foot issue, has been sidelined with him getting rehab work done. Now, it'll be key to see if they do anything in practice on Friday and Saturday. I'm curious to see if they're going to be labeled as questionable or doubtful. Doubtful, as far as how the Cowboys handle things, feels like a death sentence as far as that game that's coming up. So we'll see, something to keep an eye on there. If one or both of those guys can't go, now you're dealing with a key linebacker depth issue,
right,
and you're missing your starting green dot and your backup green dot, which would then make Malik Hooker your green dot.
You're reading my mind. I was just about to ask you. In years past, Dan Quinn would give the safeties the green dot. So Mike Zimmer is keeping that going here?
Yeah, I had some conversations yesterday, and unless that changes in the next couple of days, them feels like there's no reason to change that because Hooker knows how to be the green dot in break glass in case of emergency situation. So no reason to rock that boat. But hopefully, one or both of those guys, Vigil and or Kendricks, can go. Zach Martin is dealing with a little bit of back tightness, I'm told. He set out practice yesterday. He was with the rehab group with Britt Brown and everything. But I'm told that there's not much concern there. But, again, something to keep an eye on, especially when you're talking about an offensive line. Exactly, an offensive line that, lost Tyler Guyton last week and had to shift some pieces around. Shouts out to T.J. Bass for stepping up. Brock Hoffman, obviously. Tyler Smith popping out the left tackle. Something to watch there because although Tyler Guyton has been full participant in both practices this week, if he's not 100% healthy, I'm not going to be surprised if I saw Tyler Smith starting at left tackle against this Detroit Lions front that features Aiden Hutchinson with 8.5 sacks. So keep an eye on that. But if that's the case, then that means that although Tyler Guyton is medically cleared, he may not be 100%. So you definitely take 100% Tyler Smith versus Aiden Hutchinson versus, a 60, 70% Tyler Guyton who has already had his struggles thus far this season. Just wait till the young man gets completely healthy. But we'll see how that plays out. Now to the good news.
Finally.
DaRon Bland. DaRon Bland. might be getting real spicy for Detroit by way of Bland. Okay, so Bland has not only practiced twice this week, but both of his practices have been as full participant. He has had no setbacks, knock on wood. Spoke with him yesterday. He said he still feels great, no soreness or anything. And he's taking the entire workload in both team practices. He almost had an interception in Wednesday's practice against Dak Prescott, not against Cooper Rush, not against Trey Lance. So he's running with the ones both of those days. And by all accounts, he looks really good. He told me yesterday that he expects to have some rust whenever he is cleared to come back. That could be as soon as this Sunday against the Detroit Lions. I think no later than after the bye week with the San Francisco 49ers. But he's trending toward the Detroit Lions.
Like it.
And that is stunning to me how quickly he – just shout out to this training staff, man. Shout out to this training staff. Jim Maher and Britt Brown, they're like Mr. Miyagi working the hands over Danielson. Like, seriously, man. But, yeah, so that's the great news is that although the Cowboys are dealing with obvious injuries and maybe some more, as far as the linebacker core is concerned, they might be getting a nuclear weapon back, which means we could finally see, for the first time as starters, because they've all played together, but not as starters.
Not on the
This will
outside.
be the first time as starters. Yeah, we will see Trayvon Diggs, Jordan Lewis, and DaRon Bland maybe as early as Sunday.
Man, that would be fantastic. But I noticed here, Diggs was out yesterday, but more so from illness, so not because of that ankle.
Correct. Not because of the ankle. They rested the ankle, and for the most part, he did a little bit of work on Wednesday. But it feels like this is every once in a while around this season, Cowboys fans know the bug just kind of makes its way around. And, Marquise Bell, he missed Wednesday's practice with an illness, but Marquise was back on Thursday and in full capacity. So if it's the same bug that Marquise dealt with, it kind of bodes well for Trayvon that it shouldn't knock him out for, several days. But we'll keep an eye on it, obviously. But the good thing, in addition to that being a short-term bug for Marquise Bell, which means if it's the same for Diggs, it should be short-term as well, is that Diggs isn't coming down with this on Sunday morning or Saturday afternoon. I mean, he came down with it on Wednesday night / Thursday morning. So he's got some time to kind of heal up, rest up, get some hydration, feel better, and be ready for the game.
Pat, there's this thing going around the last couple of days after the fumble in the red zone from Rico Dowdle. It almost cost the game that has a lot of Cowboys Nation kind of scratching their head, and I think rightfully so. And we're talking about Ezekiel Elliott, who was brought back to this team, and I know it was kind of a mixed bag in regards to fans. There was some jokes, hey, he's here just for the jerseys, or no, he's here for the actual role, short yardage goal line guy. But then you're in week 5, and he's not really being utilized in that manner. Now, he did get a carry in short yardage, but, I mean, the goal line, 6 points seems a bit more pressing to me. And to not see him in there kind of made my antennas raise a little bit. And then when they pressed Coach McCarthy about it, he said, this week is going to be the same distribution as last week. And I'm like, what's going on with Ezekiel Elliott's role? And he clearly seems a bit frustrated by it, but he's remaining professional. So if you can kind of take us inside this whole thing, because yesterday we finally heard from Zeke in regards to him being a little frustrated.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can appreciate it. This is why I got so much love for you and colleagues like yourself who frame it the right way, because anybody who actually watched the video, because the video is right there for you to watch. Okay, it's on the .com, it's on YouTube. Just go watch the video. And as much as I love Clarence, and Clarence knows I love him, that was completely mischaracterized as far as the words of Ezekiel Elliott. Mm-hmm. Zeke never used the word dumbfounded. He never, spoke in the tone of dumbfoundedness, for lack of a better way to put it. And he wasn't proactive in saying, I went to the coaches. Like, he was prodded on 3 different occasions, back to back to back. And finally he was like, I've talked to him, but then he immediately circled back to it and said, hey, it's not about me, it's about the team, and I'm just trying to, keep my head down. I want to be a leader for the team, and all of the right things. That's the Ezekiel Elliott we know. That being said, his mischaracterized words notwithstanding, the Cowboys they need to figure out what they're doing with Ezekiel Elliott. And I think that the fumble by Rico Dowdle, so far as wonderful as Rico Dowdle played in his career game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, like you said, that short yardage situation with the game on the line, even if the game was not on the line, but even more so when the game is on the line, this is what you brought Ezekiel Elliott back to do. And why he wasn't on the field, I'm not sure. It's not a health issue at all. That much I know for certain. But I'm hoping that seeing Rico misplay that kind of reminded the Cowboys of why they have Ezekiel Elliott in. Because if Rico takes the lead blocker, follows the lead blocker, he walks in standing up.
Right.
There's no fumble. There's no extra drama at the end of that game. Dak Prescott doesn't have to save the game the way he did with the jumping on the fumble and then the touchdown pass to Tolbert. For as fun as that was, by the way. But those situations are, tailor-made for Ezekiel Elliott. That's why he brought him back. Earlier in the game, short yardage, shout out to Hunter Lipke as well. Hunter Lipke is kind of making it difficult on Ezekiel Elliott by way of just competition because Hunter Lipke, he's showing that he can be the short yardage back, which we already knew, okay? But now we're starting to see that more and, deactivating Deuce Vaughn for that game to make sure that you had more touches for Hunter Lipke, I think that paid off magnificently. But when you have Hunter Lipke on the field and they want to get him more touches, including in short yardage, then it's like, okay, so how are we balancing Hunter Lipke versus Zeke Elliott as far as short yardage is concerned while allowing Rico Dowdle to continue to do what he does majority of the game in the mid to long yardage range. So figured out. I think they are figuring it out. But to be honest with you, still, I'm going to say it right now like I've said it to our good friend Jazz from Girls Talk, Boys Talk, and I've said it to several other people over the past couple of days when this question has been posed. My gut feeling here is that they're playing the long game with their running back committee. They're playing the long game. And something tells me that because you're looking at a situation where Zeke's not a spring chicken. No. He's not, right? So this feels like a situation where, let Rico go off. Let him have his thing. Let him do his thing because he's starting to ramp up. You started Zeke in Cleveland, and you started Rico, and now Rico is showing what he can do. I think it's given McCarthy the idea of, okay, later in the season, late November, going into December, late December, should Rico start wearing down, because we're not going to pretend he hasn't had some injury issues in the recent past, should Rico start wearing down, we have a fresh Zeke right here to combine with Hunter Lipke and then maybe Dalvin Cook, depending on how that rolls out. I think that might be the thought process. I can't confirm that because they're holding that close to the chest. But I say that to say, if we look back on all of this in late December and you see that it was Rico really eating all the way up to maybe say Thanksgiving, and then quote unquote suddenly you see Ezekiel Elliott getting more and more and more, then that means it was the plan the whole time.
So that's your gut feeling right now. Give me, in Cowboys Nation, your gut feeling for Week 6, Cowboys-Lions on Sunday here at AT&T Stadium, where they're trying to get their first victory at the crib.
Yeah, man. God, this is, like I said at the top of the show, this is going to be the biggest test thus far. It's not going to be easy whatsoever, but when you look at the weakness for the Lions matches up well against what the Cowboys' strength should be at home, which is the Cowboys' passing attack versus the secondary of the Lions. That Lions secondary, they have a couple guys, but how often they play man, how often they play single high and things like that, that can be lunch, man. I mean, their defensive line is nothing to play with with whatsoever. So you've got to block those guys up front. But if you do, I think Dak Prescott can.
Oh, man. Pat got clipped on us. Pat, we was cooking there, brother. Shouts out to my guy, Patrick No C. Walker, our insider, DallasCowboys.com. You heard what he said. If they can block it up front, Dak Prescott can cook them. He did that last year. They added a couple different pieces, or they'll have different pieces as well that didn't play against the Cowboys. But I still think, they block it up front, they can cook. Hold on, Pat. Give me your final thoughts here, because I know you got to get going. But give me your final thoughts. I don't know how you got kicked out of there. What's up?
Yeah, listen, man. The Lions don't like what I'm about to say. Dan Campbell hacked the system. He don't like what I'm about to say, but I'm gonna say it. So the Cowboys defense, I mean, they're so undermanned, and I think guys step up again like they did in Pittsburgh. But when you're also talking about maybe taking Eric Kendricks off the table, that's rough. Tough, so I think the Cowboys defense, even with Bland, if he comes back, I think the Cowboys defense struggles to get pressure up front on Jared Goff. I think that leads to more than one touchdown, but I think the Cowboys outshoot Jared Goff in this game. Yeah, I think this one gets a little bit close to a barn burner. Look at what the Seahawks were almost able to do, even though Geno Smith missed a lot of throws in that game. Yeah, so I think that this turns into a little bit of a shootout, goes down to the wire, and I'm taking the Cowboys. Cowboys get 30 in a close one, 32, let me say 27.
All right, there you have it, Cowboys Nation. Our guy, our insider, Patrick No.C. Walker, DallasCowboys.com. Appreciate you, bro. I know you got to get going here and head on over to Talking Cowboys. Make sure y'all check him out after the show.
Absolutely, Talking Cowboys. One last thought. The more I think about this, the more I just can't wrap my head around fathoming the Cowboys dropping 4 straight at home. I can't see it. And, yeah, so I just think they figure out a way to get it done, and I don't know exactly what that way might look like, but I think Dak Prescott, I think CeeDee Lamb goes off. I think Jake Ferguson gives them hell, and then the rest kind of goes as it goes. So, yeah, 30-27. Cowboys get this and going to the bye week feeling good.
Hey, Pat, it will be, if they drop 4 in a row at the crib, it'll be as shocking as Obafemi dropping the North American title this past week.
Don't get me started on that. But wait, D'Angelo, what are we doing?
But wait, maybe that means we get a chance to see the big fellow in the main roster. That's how I'm taking it, Pat. That's the only thing I can think of.
Okay. It's what it better be.
Right.
What it better be.
Right.
Man, don't get me started, man. Get on out of here. Let me get to talking. Shout out to Obo. We stand for Obo.
Hell yeah, we do. Shouts out to my guy Patrick No.C. Walker. Scientific method, baby.